Hello everyone, TLSG here, back again with another daily Marvel Snap video. So today we have Kang the Conqueror. We have Kang himself, and he feels pretty interesting. He's very unique in the effect that he brings. He's kind of like a Daredevil that you don't see coming. You can drop it on turn 5 or turn 6, depending on when you have it in hand, or you could cycle into it with something like Lockjaw, which is the core idea behind this build. If we cycle 2 cards, one Wasp and one Kang, into the Lockjaw, then we know what cards we are going to pull out after that turn rewinds. So we have a lot better information about what and where we should play, or if we just need to abandon rotating instead. And so this list runs very well even without Kang, but I think Kang offers a little bit of flexibility and somewhat deck thinning with the rotations and the cards that it could potentially pull into. And so I think Kang will find several homes in control builds, in Thanos, in Lockjaw rotations, but this is going to be the most accessible one that I could think of that also runs very, very well. And so in this list, you could technically take out the Killmonger for a Sunspot. That way you can float and soak some additional energy. You could add in maybe She-Hulk if you're planning on floating some energy for your Infinite, but I like the game plan of controlling any potential bad outcomes from Lockjaw rotation flips. And so since this one doesn't have any really low cards besides the Wasp, and if you play Thor, you're Mjolnir, every single time you rotate a card with Lockjaw, it is going to give you a valuable card in return. And so then sometimes you may draw flat and you may have to retreat out, but in the majority of games, you should be able to get a lot of value and just place a lot of power onto the board pretty flexibly. And so if you want to catch more of this deck live or me live in a less constructed manner, make sure to check us out on twitch.tv/TLSGsnap. We might even be live right now. And so with the brief deck explanation out of the way, we're going to go ahead and jump into a couple of games. I hope you guys enjoy. All right, first up we have the Smug Mug. They drop Sunspot on their first turn play, and we're going to get typically a lot of Killmonger value throughout these games unless they're running armor. A lot of times people will kind of hang their Sunspot out in the open, and then we can get a lot of utility from it. And so I think we're going to get a lot of use out of Lockjaw with Kang and with the way that he interacts. So I'm going to go ahead and drop Thor into the protected lane. Since we do have our Lockjaw and our Janejaw, we're not in a rush to drop the Lockjaw on the board. Actually, I guess we could have dropped Lockjaw, then Thor. It wouldn't necessarily matter the order. That way we have less chances to draw into it naturally, but I guess if we top deck it, then that'd be pretty nice. We can always Lockjaw and then rotate it, which would be pretty decent. They armor into the far right lane into Muir Island as well, so I assume that they're running a Shuri deck. Let's see if we can maybe outposition them, is what we're going to have to lean into. We do have Arrow to disposition their cards. We have the Magneto. We have a lot of those utility cards. They do have the Shuri. So hopefully we can outpower them with maybe a Kang the Conqueror coming down and give us the read on exactly what we need to do. But outside of that, I think it gets a little bit difficult. So we do get Mjolnir. So we can actually do Mjolnir here. I almost want to Lockjaw rotate our Jane Foster back into our deck. I mean, we have some decent cards to rotate back out. We have the Kang, we have the Doctor Doom, the Infinite, so we have a pretty good shot of being able to rotate into the Kang. So I'm actually going to snap back here. We're going to be a little bit greedy. We're going to rotate both. We won't flip into the Wasp unless we flip in with Mjolnir. We won't flip into the Wasp because Jane Foster is going to pull them out of our deck. And so then we just have the Killmonger, Kang, Doctor Doom, and Infinite to potentially pull into. So we really mitigate what we can potentially pull into. And then on the last turn, it looks like we're going to most likely do an Arrow into the middle location. So the first rotation is Infinite. That's going to be important in if we get our Kang, if we flip into it here, that's going to be important. Oh no, so it's the Killmonger. Okay, so we do have another Mjolnir. We can play Wasp over to the left. We're unable to draw this turn, so maybe we do Arrow into mid. If they're doing the Taskmaster, they don't play a 1 cost here. And then we could just try to steal the left lane away with a Wasp or a Doctor Doom rotation. We have 3 cards that we can potentially rotate into here. We are going to play it a little bit gutsy and hope that they maybe, I don't know, hope that they play both of their cards over into the Bifrost. Could be maybe our only hope. I don't know. We don't have the Killmonger. We don't have the Shang-Chi in this version of this list. And so it's going to have to come down to outpowering. We do pull their card over into Camp Lay, And hopefully we don't get Kang now. Kang would take away this, they would rob us of this 8-cube victory. Please, Kang, stay in the timeline. Don't show up in the timeline. No. Kang, I know that you are a big bad and all, but we had that round 1. We get to see that before, and we get to rewind. Oh, Kang. The animation does not ever get old. But do they have I figure if they had a 1-cost card, they would have played it last turn. I think I think we robbed ourselves. We're going to rotate the Mjolnir again. We're going to play Wasp over to the left. We now have 2 chances to pull into cards. Because Kang is no longer gone, that is no longer a chance to rotate into. We could potentially do our Jane Foster or our Doctor Doom. But do they do the same play line? Now that they know what we have, they know a little bit of information about what we have. And so they might play it differently. They might retreat. And so it might have saved them 4 cubes. If they can play 2 cards, then they just completely jabaited us. Oh no, they jabaited us with the 2-card drop. Oh my god, why didn't they play 2 cards last time? Why would they wait? They won the game because of a jabait. Oh no, that feels so bad. Oh my god. Oh, we still win. Woo! Okay, so the animation, the text there was a little bit glitchy. It said, look, whoop, 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 4 or 8. We don't know. 4, 8, 4, 8. So a little bit of a bug with Kang. But we very close. That was, oh my gosh. We had to get the Doctor Doom. They played around us using the arrow beautifully, by the way. And we were still able to sneak it out for the 4/8. All right, next up we have Rag EX. The first location is Asgard. We typically don't have a good shot of competing for the Asgard location. A lot of this deck is very heavy-handed. You could go with a cheaper version that runs a Sunspot, that runs a Jubilee instead of the Killmonger. But I like to guarantee that whenever we flip a card with Lockjaw, it is going to be a good value in that lane. And so sometimes you are going to get a bricked hand. Sometimes it's not going to be amazing to rotate into. But this deck is about playing the patience game. So they do a Polaris to move our card over. It looks like they're running a junk deck, so like a Syndom junk style deck. If they flood us with too much stuff, we won't be able to do a whole lot, unfortunately. We also have to give up the Asgard location. We have Dracula. We're going to go ahead and play it there. And then depending on what else we draw into, we could always get a pretty decent pull with it. We will end up using our Kang either on 5 or 6. It really depends what we need to get a feel for. And so they run their own Killmonger into a demon into the Monster Metropolis lane. So they do get their 2 extra cards here, unfortunately for us. Now we could do, this is going to be a tough one. We could do Thor. On turn 6, we could end up doing Kang, and then we can do Kang, and then, I don't know. We're hoping that we can get some decent power into Monster Metropolis or the Crimson Cosmos, but not with them running Sarah. So actually, I think we might just Degenerate Snap here on turn 6 to see how their relative feel for their hand is, to get some information about if we need to stay or not. Now, once Kang comes down, we're not going to redraw, but we will be able to do potentially a Magneto. We're actually going to Degenerate Snap and then probably retreat here, because I don't see us having a way to win this one. But we're going to Degenerate Snap. We're going to play Kang, and then we will assess from there. We'll see what they end up deciding to play. Now, if we get blocked with the Cosmo, that's the scariest thing to Kang, because his ability is an on reveal. If they can block it, then they're just going to sneak away the extra 3 cubes that we're gambling to get some extra information. So they play 2 cards, one being Arrow to pull our cards into the Crimson Cosmos, and then one being Maximus to the far right lane. Okay, and so can we ever beat that? And do they play it the same way the second time around? I think that's also important to think about. We don't have Mjolnir, unfortunately. Magneto here, I don't know that we ever beat this. And then that's going to pull maybe 5. If they decide to not go with Arrow. Thank you for the information. We are going to leave for the 1. All right, next up we have Satirical. The first location is Asgard again, which we just lost in Asgard very badly. We are going to get Killmonger value from the Thanos stones unless we discard it. As soon as I saw Sokovia, I knew that Killmonger was what was going to get discarded, and it's so unfortunate. It's so unfortunate. So they changed them into location with the Reality Stone. We get the Savage Land out of it. We can't destroy those cards anymore. We do have our Thor, and we have Kang in our hand. Kang's not going to allow us to draw an additional card because we're not going to top deck him. But if we get him on 5 or 6, then we will get an additional draw phase, which is going to be pretty advantageous. We don't get the Thor off, unfortunately. Unfortunately, we get bested in Asgard. I don't want to Lockjaw rotate the Wasp into, I don't know, a Doctor Doom and just be stuck with that power there and not be able to get the extra benefit from it. So we're going to play Lockjaw and Wasp into the right lane. We do have Kang, which will let us know what one of our rotations will turn into. And so if we rotate him, we will restart the turn without him, and then we'll be able to kind of gauge from there. And I think that's going to be very, very beneficial for us. So do we want to do that on turn 5 or turn 6? I think is the next major question here. Let's do it on turn 6. That way we can know if there's any extra spots, what they're going to fill up the board with. Jane Foster is going to pull our 0-cost cards out, so our Wasp. And then that will help us get a guaranteed read on that flip. The only downside to this, in doing it on turn 6, is that they will likely know what we're going to flip into. They can make a better assessment of if they should stay or if they should go. We're still going to do the Jane Foster. I think that's a much better play line. Let's snap now. See if they stay. We can't snap on turn 6. Even if they stay the first time around, the odds of them staying all the way through after it resets, if they find that we had a winning position, are much, much lower. So the Blue Marvel in the Xandar lane, buffing up their cards on the board even further, is big. Let's see what we can make happen. We have 2 rotations. We pull into the Doctor Doom. So let's see if this is going to be our Dracula or what it's going to be exactly. Let's see what they are planning on doing on this last turn before we fully commit to it. We know that the Cosmo is already on the board. We don't have to worry about them blocking our last turn on reveal. And so the Wasp will rotate into Dracula. So Dracula is our next card in our deck. And then it would pull into, if we rotate it a second time, it'll pull into Wasp again. So we know that we really only want to rotate 1 card here, because if we rotate the second one, it's going to pull back into Wasp. And so they played a Power Stone and a Claw to push more power to the right. So let's keep an eye out for that, and let's rewind the turn real fast. Let's reorganize it. Let's redo it. We broke the game. Let's go ahead and connect back in. Ooh, but if the rotations are the same, theoretically, couldn't... Oh my gosh, what? If the rotations are the same, couldn't we technically... Gosh, what is going on? We broke the game. Okay, let's wait a minute before trying to do anything. See if it stays. Shoot. So if we have to skip this turn, if it ends up like stalling out, we just win, right? Oh no. Oi, oi. Oi, oi, oi. Oi, no. Let's quickly throw something onto the board somewhere. Move it. Oh no. I don't even know what triggered this error. Oh, we're stuck in a loop. Kang! How could you? I can't even retreat. Can we like retreat out? Will it let us retreat out? How could you? How could you, Kang? Retreat? Retreat later? Retreat later, maybe? Oh no, we're stuck in the game forever. Oh, we escaped. So the world may never know if we would have won that one, but in my heart, I know. So, and I'm really curious how this would work out. So since we rotated the Wasp first on our test round, and then rotated something else and it pulled immediately back into Wasp, could we do that with a different card? Could we do Doctor Doom into something, and then it would pull back into Doctor Doom? Is what I was thinking. We would have double Doctor Doom bots onto the board and just a lot of overall power that we would have pushed. We will never know. We had to escape out of it after being stuck in limbo for a while. Kang was controlling the timeline very, very heavily there. Let's see if we can do this one about the same, but maybe a little bit better. We lost cubes that we could have gained. We had that win. I know it. I know it in my heart. We had the 2 to 4 cubes. So they do the soul stone, the space stone. So they might move their monster over to the left. Let's do an early Thor. Let's do an early Thor into... We're going to do it into the space throne. That's going to be our biggest threat. Our card that has the most potential to go higher than their monster, even with like a boost from Blue Marvel. And so they do snap on us. We have Kang, and we can use that a little bit later on. They have the time stone. Oh, if they leech us, they could leech us. They could leech us, and that would feel really bad. I do want to play Dracula, but I'm afraid of the leech play. We are going to rotate one card here. We're going to rotate our Wasp back into our deck. Or do we wait? If they leech, we can rotate our Wasp. There's no issue there. And it kind of saves us. And then we could rotate both Kang and Wasp next turn. If we re-pull into Kang, then he will have his ability back. Yeah, let's wait one turn. Let's see if this is the leech. No, it's the Blue Marvel. Okay, the Blue Marvel is fine. That brings their monster up to 10. We have to hit Mjolnir at least twice, unless we play something like Dracula over there and absorb into a really solid card. So let's go ahead and rotate our... We're going to do Wasp first, and then Kang. That's going to give us some information that I think we're going to want to know. Let's do Dracula to the left. We're going to cycle our Wasp. I would rather use Kang on the last turn to get a better read for what they're doing on that turn. And you probably won't get very many cubes out of it. It'll probably force a lot of retreats. But I do think that's going to be fairly beneficial for us. We rotate into Dr. Doom, which is not a bad rotation by any means. We pull into our vision. So now we can tell if it's going to be worth it to rotate anything here or not. So rotating with... Actually, the first card you play here is destroyed. Instead of rotating it, could this... No, it's going to rewind the turn. It wouldn't count as destroyed. So let's play Kang. Let's see what they're running. And then we could either do maybe a Magneto mid. If it's a good rotation, we could do Magneto mid, maybe Arrow mid to pull them around. I don't know. This is going to give us some insight. A Cosmo would completely block us here, and it'd be rough. The Spectrum comes down, so it buffs up all of their cards. So we can anticipate the Spectrum coming down. Our rotation from Lockjaw would be Jane Foster pulling into our 0-cost cards. So although that is decent, I don't know that that is decent enough to not... Or I don't know that that is decent enough to actually rewind here. And so now it counts... Ooh, it's 7 of 6, but we can't play the Infinite. And so how do we want to play this one now? Knowing that they played the Spectrum here, that wouldn't be enough power to win what is currently here. Magneto left would give us 11 power. That would outpower the 10 power of monster. They would lose 10 power in their throne room. We would gain 22 power, plus whatever Dracula decides to pull into. Let's see if they go with the same playline, the Spectrum, the same... Yep, they go with the same in-game playline. It buffs up their cards. We have the Magneto, which is going to steal the throne room from us. We get the really lucky Infinite pull from the Dracula to steal it away by even more. And so we do steal the 4 cube. It gets a little bit confusing here with the timelines overlapping, but it's the 4 cubes that we end up getting from that game. We will take the information, the valuable information from the Spectrum. We will take it, and let's jump over into the next one. All right, next up we have Euphoria. The first location is the Collapse Mine, so if they're running some kind of death deck, that definitely helps their death out quite a bit. We have our Lockjaw in our starting hand and our Wasp, so we start our rotation cycle very, very early. And this deck can push a lot of power and a lot of disruption onto the board, but it leans on having either Thor or Lockjaw very early on. And so Death's Domain is going to be good for us with our Dr. Doom. Let's go ahead and play the Lockjaw. We're going to lose the Eternity range, so we're going to have a... we might not lose it. They snap on us. I want to snap back. The Death's Domain is decent for the Dr. Doom. I feel like we snap back here. We're going to do Lockjaw. We're going to do Wasp. We're going to see what we rotate into. Is that too egregious? Maybe we just play it safe and play to the left. Let's fight for the left instead, just in case we flip into something not great. I don't want to lose Eternity range and it start clogging up our board. So they have the Ebony Maw and the Iceman. That is going to be beautiful value for our Killmonger to play. It's going to take away and leave them with only 5 in the middle location. We flip into the Infinite, which is massive. Such a beautiful play. We can do the Dracula next turn. Maybe we just do Vision, move power into Death's Domain, and then on the last turn we could do something like either Killmonger or Dr. Doom, depending on what we think we need to do. And so we may not need to lean on Kang here. The Dracula comes down. They have the Mr. Fantastic that they push into the left lane. They can't, unfortunately for them, they can't make it reach the Death's Domain. But I don't think we need them to. Let's play the Vision. Let's rotate with Wasp to see what we rotate into. If we rotate into Kang, then we'll just get some free information about what they played. If we draw into Magneto, then we just have more value there. Thor would be pretty decent as well. But I think our real fight is going to be probably mid, especially if they have a Shang-Chi that they can end up playing. So the Ebony Maw, the Lizard, Iceman, I'm not sure what kind of deck they're running. The Arrow is an interesting one, but the Vision is fine. We pull into our Arrow, and so we can now move our Vision. And we could do Killmonger, we could do Dr. Doom. We just have so much flexibility. We have them outpaced. So we do capitalize on the 4-cube gain. We will take that one. And even though we didn't end on a Kang gain, we had several interactions that both helped and hurt us. And so I think Kang overall, he's going to give you information. He will give your opponent some information depending on what all you showed them as well. But I think only time will tell exactly how good he is going to be. And when people find a way to adopt him into Daredevil lists so that you can really get a feel for what the opponent is playing on both turn 5 and turn 6, you can start really controlling that late game, and you can mitigate your cube losses. So if you were going to lose, you can know that before you risk those 4 or 8 cubes and maybe retreat out for 1 instead. I think this is a very flexible list for him. The Lockjaw rotating into him is a pretty interesting mechanic in giving you some insight into what kind of cards you're going to rotate into, so then you can plan your next turn more effectively. So I hope you guys enjoyed the video. If you did, make sure to leave it a like and a comment down below. As always, this has been TLSG. Later, guys.